Good morning.
So I understand there was a little back and forth here that played out over K-Wave News between you and the BBMR head,
No,
Lester
no.
Carlson.
I think, Chris, there was maybe an appearance of maybe a lack of communication between my staff and him, because he's the staff of the governor, and I'll leave it at that. But we have been in communication with the administration after that, before that interview he had, and after my interview, I just needed to clear that part up. It's not anything against my cousin Lester. You know, it's just a matter of, hey, come on, call my staff, your staff. The OFB and BBMR, that's where the communication's at.
Right.
Then we bring it up to the level of where I'm at and where the governor's at, and then we come to terms with exactly what we need to discuss.
So where are we at?
Huh?
So where are we at with this budget?
Well, we have our numbers. I can't reveal that yet, but the governor's office has already reached out to us. The governor's office now, I'm not talking about BBMR. The governor's office has reached out, and we'll be meeting with them and taking a look at exactly what numbers they have so that we can move forward. But, we're not in the blind. We already know. We pretty much see the CRE report. We have questions of it. We have doubts of it. But, that's what everybody will have with anything. Everybody always has a different interpretation of things until there's clarity when minds meet. And we'll be meeting with them. We'll be moving forward. And when I believe some of the folks are actually thinking that when we did do some of the budget hearings, we need to understand the budget hearings we did were for non-line agencies. And I'm going to continue moving forward with non-line agencies first until the line agency, which is at a loop, are ready to go to bat. Then we'll start discussing their budgets.
What's it been like, Senator, doing these budget hearings with no accurate revenue numbers for the next fiscal year?
No. What we're doing on the budget hearings, Chris, is we're looking at what are the bare bones they need, and they've stated what they've asked for, but they've also understand that because of the shortfall, they expect to get cuts. They're just hoping they get as close to what they're asking for, because most of the budgets that have been proposed, other than DOE, who's normally over $100 million more, pretty much could be a status quo or maybe just a little bit less because of what's going on in Guam. Now, at the same token, we got to also predict it or take a look at how now there seems to be allowing a lot of business to start opening up. So, remember, we have to trend this. We're only in June. Got to see how it works in this month of June into July. And we're going to have a budget set. And you've heard me say that, number one, the budget they proposed pre-pandemic, it's not there anymore. I honestly believe they actually acknowledge that also, because for a fact, Chris and Sabrina, that the stimulus money we're getting today is going to end soon, okay? And some folks have told me, Senator, you're not 100% on the stimulus ending in December. Yeah, you're right. I'm 99%, because there's some grants and some stimulus that will extend beyond, maybe even as far as 2023. But majority of that will end in December, unless there's another stimulus that comes through, and then there's more money. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I have to eye what the business community are feeling, and right now, we wrote a letter to GHRA, Guam Chamber of Commerce, asking them if you can give us some numbers, because as we look at the CRE, and then we have to take a look at also what's going on in the business, how they're feeling, what is the impact, and then merge it together and say, okay, where are we at truly? What can we visualize? And you have to understand that whenever you're doing a budget, it's all a projection. Mm-hmm. And we hope to get as close as we can, but we're going to be more conservative this year than we were last year. Last year we were, remember earlier this year we were tracking over 33 million, then it dipped. Then now, you've heard the recent one, it says 4.9 million short. Okay, June's going to come up also, and if it starts to grow and get back into the black, then it's the stimulus that drives that train. Mm-hmm. Not unless we see a resurgence in the businesses, that restaurants and people are starting to go in, and it's always got to be life before money, okay? But the business got to open up, or else there won't be any life in those businesses. So I'm really hoping that people not only just, sure, I like going to Ross, but go fun to the other stores also, because they're eager to see
They're
you.
Malago.
Yeah, I mean, you go to GPO, everybody's around the block on Ross. I mean, the other stores are also open. Take a look at it, because sure, Ross got the best deal. We got to admit that. But everybody else has good deals also, and I honestly believe the businesses they're willing to offer deals. You just got to come and visit.
Mm-hmm. So we had this pre-COVID, this $1 billion budget. We're in the thick of things with COVID. So where are we? What is the new budget revenue projection? We're still trying to figure that out, and we have until August 31st to adopt a budget for next fiscal year.
That's correct. Sabrina, as you mentioned, is that $1 billion. We have to understand that even with our 803, we were always working with $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But because you got to pay your bonds and stuff like that. You got your payables. But technically, the administration was actually asking for like 822 or 23. So right now we're looking at it that we're not at that point. We're not even close to that, and we're actually eyeing that it'll be even less than what the budget is this year. So, but we're going to work out the numbers, and if when I say we're not there yet at 823, if we're down to, let's say 800, or let's say even 790, for example, that's a shave off from what pre-pandemic is about what $43 million. And if you shave off 43, then we have to take into account the offsetting based on what the businesses are going to be producing. And that's what I'm saying is, see, even though we got into August 31st, and some folks may think that you're cutting it short. Yeah, we're cutting it short, but we got to be very careful so that when I do present the budget, I will be meeting with all the oversight chairs and explain to them and showing them what is tracking, what exists, and then we move from there. I mean, just recently, we got the fiscal note on the double pay on all 4 bills, and wow, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And if you remember, Chris and Sabrina, the governor said on the double pay it should cost $36 million if it was double pay and differential. Well, worst case scenario right now, I'm looking at my bill, 361 only says $18 million. So, wow, so half of her projection was more differential than there is for double pay. So, that's what we have to work with.
All right. So are you guys going to get a revised budget, a revised spending plan?
No, I don't believe they already stated that they won't give us a revised budget, but we're going to be able to tell them that you're not going to get what you asked for. Let's start with that first, Sabrina. Mm-hmm. You asked for $1 billion, 822 or 23. I'm trying to remember is it 823 or not, but whatever you asked for, that's not something that we're going to agree with. Mm-hmm. And I believe they really understand that. And it's very realistically, it's not possible. But to say it's a lot less, I mean, not $100 million less, but a lot less than 823. And with that note, I think it's safer to say that's where we're going. And that's where I believe the administration believes where we need to get. Because we're not going to shoot for the stars and end up finding out that, gosh, we don't even have fuel for the rocket to shoot for the stars.
Mm-hmm. So you met with the governor last week. The story came out over the past few days, and so there's another meeting today.
Yeah, well, I'll be meeting with the governor today, and we're gonna, kind of like come to terms exactly the direction we're gonna go, and then we'll move from there. And then you'll start seeing the numbers will start to probably, more than likely, it'll probably sneak out somewhere. Okay, but I won't be able to reveal it yet until we start doing more of the budget, and you start seeing when we go into session in June. I honestly believe that the administration will be, if we do have a committee to hold, they'll show up and they'll start saying exactly the information. They'll start providing us the information we need, so that other senators can calm down. Let's take a look at it, and let's measure from that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go for it, Chris.
Well, Senator.
I'm ready for you.
Yeah,
this morning.
so
I'm up early.
when we talk to all the business people, and Esther talks to the business people, I mean, it's doom and gloom, right? So I know you're waiting for the numbers, but I don't think it's rocket science. You talk about a rocket ship. I don't even think we're going to be able to get off the ground if you listen to what the business people are saying. So what about furloughs, Senator? We've heard the governor drop the F word a few times in the press conferences. Are we going to be so broke that furloughs are going to be a real part of the conversation?
Well, I look at it this way. Before we even consider any furlough, let's take first the other side of, if not a furlough, well, how about we freeze all hirings? What a furlough should? That's something I don't even want to entertain until we take a look at where we need to cut. You know, hiring, travel, and so forth. And just go down the line and let's see where we can trim, where we're at today, and see how much savings. I mean, we have to be realistic. Do we need to keep hiring people today and tomorrow and everything?
How about yesterday? Do we need to keep hiring people yesterday for agencies that are non-essential and filling positions that, I mean, you know, where are you guys at on this, Senator? I mean, we're trying to be fiscally responsible, but we got, you know, the administration hiring a director for an agency that's 4 people that we consolidated to save money. They're hiring a deputy for an agency that hasn't had a deputy in I mean, over a decade.
And exactly what you're stating, Chris, is that's a very good example of something that the administration needs to take a look at and start. You know, I use the word realignment or reconstruct the government and go on the line agencies and determine exactly where you need to, how you need to merge them, and move forward from there. Mm-hmm. Because there are, you know, and you've seen their duplication of efforts. I mean. Was that, like you mentioned, they hired 1 director or deputy director for 4, and then they put them somewhere else other than what they need, and then why don't we just merge them back together? Why don't we just start consolidating efforts until everything is more closer to back to normal? But, you know, we're never going to get to back to normal. But we can move forward from there.
I just feel like if we're talking about, you know, out of one side of our mouth saying that, oh, if we pay this or that, we're going to have to furlough people, then the other side of our mouth, we're like, no, it's okay. We're going to hire political hires and you come and work but we're going to go put you in the quarantine.
Well, and exactly. But see, at the same token, as they're saying, on one physical note, like Bill 361 was the bill I introduced, they're saying I threatened the possible furlough. Well, on the other bills, they said, well, we can use the CARES funding. Well, I can use the CARES funding for this one, and I can understand because my bill says it's until whenever the emergency is over. Well, they can introduce an amendment that says, well, why don't we end it similar to what Senator Nelson brought up? Is that why don't we end it after when we get to P-Court 2? There's got to be a determination of when the full impact of the emergency has really subsided to the point where you can say, okay, we're not at this full emergency, because like right now we're not, because why? We're opening up. We're opening up businesses. So that means we're still at an emergency, but we're not at the state where we were in March. Mm-hmm. So then this is what we need to find out now. Okay, at what point is the emergency not where we're at the lockdown point? We're not anymore, so then let's go backwards in time and says, okay, when is that date when we're not at the lockdown point? And I believe that it could be as early as before June. That's definitely. It could be sometime in May. And if we measure that, the 18 million they're saying that it's going to cost to pay the double pay for all that have to come in. Just measure it from there, and then we move on. And I think that's pretty reasonable, and I believe the employers will understand that. And what I just don't understand is that you have agencies opening up, and most of them are was that you come in this week, or you come in today, tomorrow you come in. Well, why don't you just shift the hours of the day? You know, if because the people at Walmart are there, well, why don't we open then at 7? Why don't we close at 7? You know what I mean? And then have the people shift in so that you have the maximum amount of people that you're allowed to be in your agency, but you have everybody that can go there. I mean, not everybody's free up to 5. They have to take leave to go to the government agencies. Well, if they're open just a little bit later, shifts, it's all management. Chris and Serena, it's all management.
How's this?
Are we talking about double pay? Because now you guys just kind of lost me here.
Yeah.
Are we talking about double
Yeah.
pay? We're still talking.
So what did you think of Senator? What did you think of the Klitsky commander's testimony that he submitted?
Well, I haven't really gone over it. I've been going over the other notes I've been getting from everybody else, and I got to admit it. Senator Klitsky, I like his thoughts, but hypothetically, let's think about it. Okay, yeah, we shouldn't be entitled to them, but this law on the typhoon of emergency, because remember, pandemic's the new one. He had no problem with it. They got double paid during those times. Okay, now it's pandemic. They shouldn't get. Oh wow. Why had to change your heart? But you know what? I take his comments and everything. Like I will have to see everybody else, and we'll measure from that because that's how it has to work. He can't trump everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, it is what it is. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, it is what it is. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that statement.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the budget, and we were talking about how BBMR wasn't planning to provide a revised budget to the legislature. But what about the?
Go ahead.
But what about the Office of Finance and Budget? Do you guys have a revenue projection or a revenue outlook that you can share and let us know what exactly that is?
Well, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to contact Steve, my director, and ask him to see what he can provide or what he's willing to provide publicly, because I don't want to. We're going to be in communication with downtown, and I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of where we're heading with them, and it'll be on them now to convince me and the Office of Finance and Budget where they're heading and where we can agree to a certain amount, because like I said, the $1 billion or $823 million is not going to happen.
Have they conceded to that in your meeting last week? Have they come and said that, yeah, you're right, we're not gonna this $1 billion revenue projection is not gonna happen?
Well, you know what? We just looking at the CRE, that's already telling us that if you're almost $5 million short from your projected of 803, how can you expect to even reach 823? I'm not going to say they've conceded to it, but they're willing to sit down and talk.
Well, when do you reach a point, Senator, where you just put your foot down and say, hey, give us the damn numbers, that's it, or no budget? No budget for you, no numbers, no budget.
Well, we got to look at it this way, Chris. Like I said, we're going over, and we'll be hearings. We'll have public hearings on the non-line agencies, and as we move down the 9-line agencies, and once we feel that this is where they need to be, just to continue to provide the public service, and then we go to the line agencies and we start looking at what they generally would need. Because you got to remember, Chris, and you've heard this in Sabrina before, is that if you didn't need anybody, if you never hired anybody for the past 2-3 years, what's the urgency today now? Public service is still being provided. We got to make sure public safety is first, health, and then education. Everything else is follow. Hurry up.
You forgot
so
Kaha.
I'm sorry, why won't they give a revised budget? I mean, what's the reason why? I mean,
isn't that the Bureau of Budget Management Research's job, maybe?
Well, his job is to come up with a budget to provide to the governor and a recommendation to the governor. It's like the Office of Finance and Budget. They'll come up with what they project and what they believe is what the budget should be. Then I sit down with them and we go over it. We just basically hash through it and cover all the, make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and we move on from there. And then we say, okay, Governor, BBMR, your budget folks, let's sit down. This is the numbers we're looking at. What do you have? And if we're close, then we can say, okay, we got to get closer, because we're going to be more conservative than they will be. and then we'll just go from there. And at the end of the day, we're the one that has to pass the Budget Act. And,
Okay. It sounds like we're playing a game of poker. What you got? I got
Yeah,
this. What?
yeah,
Boom,
yeah.
Trump.
well,
But I mean, I
Except they're
don't think
playing
we
poker
can,
with
we
the
can
budget.
continue
But-
to afford to,
but
you know,
but
play some
it's
games
not-
here.
It's not really. It's a numbers game, like you're saying. I
Yeah,
think
but
the
we're
numbers
playing
are
games
pretty
with the
close.
people's money. It's like,
Exactly.
just come on,
and,
let's just.
and I'm not. I don't want to. I definitely will not do that. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm saying, this is what we see. Unless you can show me something else.
Okay,
this
so
is what we're
Senator,
going.
then show us your cards. What are we talking about? What is OFB's revenue projection?
I mean, I don't have people with me right now, Sabrina, and
I'll go nice, Steve, and let you know.
I'm be like, let me get through the day, and then we'll let you know. Okay? Because
Okay.
we're
Fair enough.
gonna
You're
come up
gonna
with
be
numbers.
meeting with the governor, or who is it? The governor or Lester
The
today?
governor.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's truly going to meet with BBMR and any of the financial people, it'll be OFB.
Steve.
And then if they want to call me into the meeting, great, I'll come to the meeting. But I'll be meeting with the governor and the lieutenant governor and saying, we're going to come to terms exactly what direction we need to ensure, number one, public service being provided. Number two, we're not going to be talking about furloughs. I know that. I won't be. And if they start that, the conversation will end. Because I want to know first where the cuts are going to be at in the government of Guam. You know what I mean? Before you start terminating folks, which takes a 90-day rule, we're
wait,
cutting first.
So you're saying, are you saying that based on the numbers that you know of, that Steve has probably provided to you, I would think that he would have to provide those revenues to you. So based on the numbers that you know that the legislature has, there should be cuts. There's gonna have to be cuts.
Yes, but not furlough.
Right. Okay.
Are we talking
Like reduced hours?
Are we
working hours?
talking
No,
Trump
no,
tax cut
no.
level cuts, Senator, or deeper than that?
Well, Chris and Sabrina, let's start with number one. In every budget, you have warm bodies and nobody yet. You know what I'm saying? The vacancies.
Mhm.
And that's all part of your package of your budget. So when you take a look at that, then you start to say, where can we afford to cut? Before you start saying, it's like looking at the two of you. Before I say, well, let's cut Chris. No, let's cut Sabrina. No, why don't we reduce the time we're on the air? That's cost there. Why don't we reduce the time the cameraman's on? Chris, instead of you come in every other day. This is where the administration comes in their financial management. That's their personal management.
Yeah, but I mean the financial management. They're hiring political hires. That's the I don't.
Wasn't there a budget where deputy directors were cut?
Yeah,
at
but then
one
they
point?
were like, "Oh, it's in or you can't. It's infringing on the governor's authority." But I feel like if that happened and you want to look good, we'll say, "Yeah, I know I have the authority to hire deputies, but I'm not going to because we want to save money."
Well, we looked at it this way. You as for example, you can hire anyone you want, but provided there's funding, right? So that's where we come into play, where we say, okay, we're not gonna infringe on the separation of powers. You do whatever you believe or what you know legally you have the right to do, the authority to do. Do it, provided there's funding. And I'm not saying we did that last year. We didn't fund the deputies. They took it out of height, and that's what we did in the past. When we're not, there's certain positions we're gonna fund. Now, if you want to, not hire 2 or 3 people because you're gonna fund another position, and that's on you. It's not on us, because if we reduce the funding, then that's it is what it is.
Man, Senator, you're getting killed in our comments here. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he's in re-election mode."
No, it has nothing to do with re-election. They need to stop that, because you know what? I'm calling it straight out. And if you don't like it, well, come down to the legislature and find out yourself. Because, you wanted me to call, I called. I have no problem. Nestor came down. We did an interview. We can go through this and we can show you. Even if it was an election year, what are they going to say? Oh, he's prepping up for that. Have a nice day. Well, we're going to do what we need to do and present what we need to present as soon as we can present it to the people of Guam. I have no problem doing that. No, I've never hidden from it. I just don't answer the phone. But if you came down to my office, Chris, and you said, Senator, I need something, sure, let's go for it. Every time you've come down, I've never ignored you, Chris, and you know that.
Does the governor know what OFB's revenue projection is or outlook is? The number?
No, that's why we're meeting today.
Okay, so that's why you won't tell me?
Why don't you have like a Zoom meeting, Senator, where it's all out in the open with and then with the meeting you're going to have with the governor, is it just going to be you, or are you bringing anybody else?
No, it's staff. We're going to meet and we're going to talk about where we can, where we're at or where they're at, where we're at, and then we're going to move forward on that one, and then things are gonna come out in the open very soon. It won't be that long.
But not today. They're gonna be behind closed doors today.
I said at the end of the day.
It's like you and me talking before we do the interview, right?
Yeah.
We talk before what we're gonna discuss so that we understand where we're both going.
So is there an independent projection that we're gonna see from the Office of Finance and Budget?
I think they usually do.
Projection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Senator Teresa and I did request for a projection from OSB, and we're preparing that already.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying it's going to come out real soon. It's just we're just making sure that as much information as we can get, we're putting it together so we can say this is what we're projecting. I mean, she asked for a projection for 2020. We're going to give her that. We're going to give her that projection. What we believe it will go, and end it there. And then we're going to take a look, and like I said, I'll be meeting with the oversight chairs of all the committees and saying, okay, this is what we're looking at. And exactly what's been said on the radio is that everybody's talking about, a lot of the special funds are not reaching their point. That's true. There's no doubt about that. But we need to always remind ourselves that on majority of occasion, whenever the special funds don't meet their target, the general fund funds that, fills that void. But it just all depends on where we're at on everything. Because liquid fuel tax, well, at one point, senators wanted to reduce it, and then now that it's not tracking, you don't hear a true bark no more. Because why? That's the source of paying for road projects. What are you doing? You want to cut? You don't want to charge 4 cents for gas, but more. But I want the road fixed. Hello, take a look. Reduce the GRT to 4%. You're not in business. What are you paying? It's a deferment. There's a lot of things that are in place. I think it's a matter of maybe we'll sit down and we'll go over all of them, and then you can see, and then you can throw in like exactly what you said, Chris. Well, why don't we just stop this? Well, what do we?
Right,
well, there's a role we play in the legislation. There's a role the governor plays. There's 3 branches of government. Everyone has a role. Let's play the role. Let's do our part, and then we work down. And then when we go down that road, we go down that road. But pre-election, no, there's nothing to do with running for office. I would do this even in a non-election year.
Well, it's your
and
job.
I've always been straight up.
Right, yeah. Okay, Senator.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Oh, yes, don't worry. We'll get, I will not hide.
Okay.
There's nothing to hide from the people of Guam. People of Guam just got to be patient.
All right.
And I know they've been patient. They've been patient for the stimulus. They've been patient with unemployment.
They've been patient waiting in line.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's very unfortunate. I wish they would open more sites. Why is there only one?
Because this is a federally funded program.
Yes, the product is federally funded, but the personnel passing it out are not federally funded.
Right, yeah.
You could have spread it out. You could have 4 villages issuing at the same time.
We're going to talk about that coming up, Senator. You might want to listen. Okay.
You have a nice day.
Thank you. Wash your hands.
Oh, of course. I'll put on my mask.
There you go. See you.
Bye.
7:58. Re-election mode. I think it was clear when he said the people of Guam just need to be patient, and then he was like, "But I know they've been patient." Hey, let's keep it going here. We're KUAM FM in Agani, Guam. Want to bring on Holly from the Guam Women's Chamber to catch up on some of the. Good morning, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Good morning, Chris.